Hi everybody. I welcome you all to the ARD Current Affairs series going on for the NABARD Grade A 2026 exam. And currently we are studying the news that were related to agriculture in the August month, okay? And this is part 2 of it. So moving ahead, these are the news that we are going to cover today. ठीक है, first we are going to look at, see, अभी recently what has happened, that parliament session was going on, so there were some replies that were done by government on different aspects of agriculture. Okay, so the ones which we might have studied previously also, or any reports that have come previously, but because it was again mentioned in the parliament, that is why it's important to understand. So first was about that how much groundwater. What is groundwater? This is land, right? Inside it, beneath it, what is the water that is available? That is a groundwater. So what is like the groundwater condition in India? How much water is utilized for irrigation purpose, for personal purpose? All that was there in the reports, and in the news we are going to cover that. Second, ICAR promotes precision agriculture. So what are the different ways by which agriculture is using the technologies for precision agriculture? We are going to understand. What is precision agriculture? Precision agriculture means doing any work in the field very means with the best timings that are available, with the best inputs that are available, right? So that the whatever input that we are utilizing in agriculture, it has a short output given to us. Okay, so what the government is doing for that, and then NBA releases your 15 plus crore ABS proceed for mustard genetic. So this news in itself is not important, but what is NBA, what is ABS, okay, what is the act says about it, Biodiversity Act, that we will understand. Then NCOL markets NPOP certified. What is NPOP certification? Okay, what is Bharat Organics? These are the things that we need to understand in it. Okay, starting off with the first news, that was about India's groundwater extraction. So I already told you what is the groundwater. Okay, up some water is and whatever these data that has been stated by the government, that has been done based on two major reports. One is Dynamic Groundwater Resource Assessment of 2025, and the annual groundwater quality report 2025. So based on these two reports, all the information was provided. Okay, so what does it say? So these reports, they says that India's annual groundwater recharge, how does that happen? The groundwater, how does it recharge? Rainfall से, right? So rainfall से क्या होता है? This sea, and apart from that, seepage से, ठीक है? So because of that, the water, it enters the land, okay, and it gets collected somewhere, and this collection is known as what? It is known as your groundwater. Okay, so annual recharge because of rainfall, other forms of precipitation, and also from the seepage, etc. How much it is? 449 BCM. BCM is a billion cubic metric meter. Basically it is the SI unit of measuring this water. ठीक है, तो बिलियन क्यूबिक मीटर 449 बिलियन क्यूबिक मीटर एनुअल रिचार्ज होता है. हर साल इतना पानी रिचार्ज होता है. ठीक है, while the annual extractable groundwater is 408 BCM. What does it mean? Extractable means, for example, if this is your this is a box, you can say. Okay, the annual recharge every year, how much water is adding here? The average annual water that is added is 449 BCM. Okay, but this whole water cannot be extracted. Okay, there can be n reason. There can be aquifers that are made, right? What are aquifers? Aquifers में क्या होता है? When from above and from below it is a type of aquifer where above and below both are proper rocks that are there, and inside water is there. ठीक है, वैसे तो आपका ग्राउंड वाटर कुछ फ्रीली अवेलेबल होता है, एंड यूजुअली देयर आर सम वेयर द वाटर इज लाइक सैंडविच इन बिटवीन, राइट? नॉट ऑल द ग्राउंड वाटर इज एक्सट्रैक्टेड. सो इफ फॉर एग्जांपल मान लो दिस मच वाटर इज नॉट एक्सट्रैक्टेबल, ओके, ओनली द अबव पोर्शन इज एक्सट्रैक्टेबल, सो दैट इज द एक्सट्रैक्टेबल ग्राउंड वाटर रिसोर्स. सो हाउ मच इज देयर? ओवरऑल 449 बिलियन क्यूबिक मीटर रिचार्ज होता है, बट द एक्सट्रैक्टेबल विच वी कैन एक्सट्रैक्ट इज हाउ मच? 408 BCM. ओके, अब again, you need to understand that this much is extractable, but do we extract all this water? No, we do not extract all this water. How much water we extract? The annual groundwater extraction in India is 247 BCM. You need to understand overall recharge happens, which is 449 BCM. Okay, but not all the water is extractable. Okay, how much is extractable? 408 BCM. But do we extract all? For example, you have a very big chocolate in your hand. Okay, you can eat everything. Okay, but will you eat everything at once? You might not. You might also, if you want, you can also, but you might not. You might just eat half of it, and half you will keep for later on, right? So this half, how much you can eat? Whole you can eat. You can eat whole, but how much you are eating? Only half, right? Similarly, 408 BCM is extractable groundwater resources that we have. But are we extracting all the groundwater of this? No, we are extracting how much? 247 BCM. Okay, okay. So and maximum which is used for what? Of this 247 BCM, maximum, that is your 87% is used in irrigation, 2% is used in industrial purpose, the orange one you can see, and the green one is your domestic. So for personal use, 11% of this groundwater is used. Okay, so what we get the understanding? We get the understanding ki jo maximum extraction that happens of this annual groundwater, it's actually done for the irrigation purpose. In the agriculture it is used. Okay, apart from that, the national stage of groundwater extraction is 60.63%. What does it mean? It is a formula which is used to derive the percentage, how it is calculated. The extracted water, how much you have removed, divide by how much is extractable, how much you can actually remove, into 100%. So when you have this calculation, you get this stage of groundwater extraction. Okay, so which is 60.63%. What does it mean? Of the overall groundwater that we can extract, 60% of it we are actually extracting. Okay, rest 40% we are not extracting. But the problem is that this is the national average. Okay, but in some of the areas, especially in 9 states and UTs, Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Delhi, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Chandigarh and Karnataka, this groundwater extraction is higher than that of this 60.63%. like national percentage ka average ka higher hai. That is why, and why is it that? Because of the type of crop they are using, majorly the type of crops that are being grown there. Because of that it happens. Why? Because we have seen maximum chunk is taken by irrigation. Okay, and that is why if you see, especially in Punjab region and nearby Haryana and nearby region, the motive of now the government is for them to shift from rice to some other crop, because rice takes a lot of water. Okay, so that is why crop diversification, especially in these regions, Tamil Nadu may be kafi production hota rice ka, right? So because of that, from these regions, the motive is to shift them to go for crop diversification, because it is impacting the groundwater now as well. Okay, then apart from that, average annual per capita water availability is around 1500 cubic meters. Okay, so this is not the groundwater extraction we are seeing, the normal water we are seeing. Okay, next is about the groundwater is generally potable, means drinkable. Okay, nearly 99% of monitoring stations, they have said कि irrigation use के लिए जो भी water extract होता है use हो सकता है. See, there is a difference that it's not necessary that the water that is suitable for irrigation purpose is suitable for drinking purpose as well. Okay, but majority chunk of generally drinkable, that is what's being said. And under National Aquifer Mapping and Management Program, okay, there are now the areas are being identified, because again we have water requirement. So the National Aquifer Mapping and Management Program, they go for the areas where the more and more groundwater can be found and it can be utilized. Okay, but apart from this, definitely there are some initiatives by government also that they are doing. For example, under Jal Jeevan Mission, tap water connections has reached to the rural household also. How many? 15.90 crore rural household, covering 82% of the rural population. Apart from that, under Jal Shakti Abhiyan and Jal Sanchay Jan Bhagidhari Catch the Rain Abhiyan, the motive is to collect the water. Okay, Amrit Amrit Sarovar में भी the motive is to rejuvenate the lost water bodies, okay, so that again it can be used for the domestic consumption also, irrigation also, and the pressure on the groundwater it reduces. Apart from that, per drop more drop maybe the motive is to conserve the water, okay. So that was the first news. Now coming to the second news, National Biodiversity Authority has released 15 crore as excess and benefit sharing, okay, generated from mustard genetic resources. Again, now the news is not as such important, like, but what is this excess and benefit sharing, okay, what is this National Biodiversity Authority, what is this concept, let's understand, okay. So the basic idea is, देखो, अगर any company who is doing commercialization in mustard crop, okay, they are using its genetic value and gaining any profit, ठीक है. But ultimately mustard is a resource, it is resource of India, and a lot of institution and people are involved which are doing what, actually they are trying to protect this mustard genetic quality, okay. And for that they, you know, they do research, they go for different conservation program, right. So on one hand, the see, India as a whole had this mustard as a resource. On one hand, there is a company which is making profit out of it, but then on the other hand, there are people who are actually conserving it, right, who are doing the research, which again these companies can utilize or exploit, okay, to get their own benefit, right. So what does this concept says? Access and benefit sharing says what, okay. It says that whatever resource is being utilized by one, maybe it can be a nation, here in my example it is a company, right, and then there are people who are trying everything to conserve it, right. So whatever benefit these company or these nations are having, the some part of its profit must be shared with the people who are conserving the resources, ठीक है. तो access and benefit sharing का simple concept in a very layman language if I have to say, it says that if any A entity is having benefit from a resource, okay, but there is also B entity which is conserving and trying to protect the same resource, okay. So whatever A entity is getting benefit out of it, profit out of it, some share of it should be shared among whom? Among the people who are conserving that resource, ठीक है. This is the access and benefit sharing, ठीक है. And usually company whatever profit they have, some part of it they share, ठीक है. So they directly don't give it to people, the company, what they do then, they actually give it to the National Biodiversity Authority, then National Biodiversity Authority reallocate the funds. It happens like this, ठीक है. So how much they have NBA have released over 15 crore under what, as a access and benefit sharing, okay, for what resource, for the mustard genetic resource, ठीक है. And now this amount will be distributed among 26 state biodiversity boards, union territory biodiversity council, right. You don't have to remember how many states and UTs were involved, right, but ये basic idea आपको समझना है, ठीक है. Calculated based on the area under mustard cultivation, and distribution will be as per the mustard cultivation that happens in the place, ठीक है. The release has been made under the Biological Diversity Act. So basically first there is an act, ठीक है, ये आपका act है, Biological Diversity Act, which states what, which provides a legal framework for the conservation of the biodiversity. Here in this news case is what, mustard, okay. Sustainable use of biological resource and fair and equitable sharing of benefits. This fair and equitable share in my example what was, company and the people who are protecting it, ठीक है, the institutes who are protecting it, ठीक है. तो fair and equitable sharing, ठीक है. It follows a decentralized structure involving your National Biodiversity Authority at the national state level. Up definitely this is an act, so at every stage there has to be a body that would function for it, right. So at national level we have NBA, then we have at state level state biodiversity boards, ठीक है, and then at local level biodiversity management committees, ठीक है. Then there were some amendments that happened recently 2023, you know, it talks about more thing, having a little bit leverage on the processes, मतलब basic इसमें कुछ amendments हुए थे, not too much in detail वाले, ठीक है. Then about National Biodiversity Authority, ठीक है, it is a statutory autonomous body under the Biological Diversity Act, headquarter का है चेन्नई तमिलनाडु में, ठीक है. Access and benefit sharing, a concept we have understood, is a mechanism to ensure that benefits arising from commercial or other use of these biological or generic resources, ठीक है, should be shared fairly with whom? With the resource providers, management committees and the local communities that conserve them, ठीक है. तो ये basic idea we have understood, ठीक है. Last news is about your NCOL markets. First of all, what is NCOL? That is National Cooperative Organic Limited. What it does, it basically it provides the organic certification to the products that are developed by the cooperative societies, ठीक है. And they don't just give this tag of organic produce just like that. No, there is proper certification that needs to be done, which guarantees that yes, these products are organic in nature, ठीक है. And government has made this name Bharat Organic as a brand, okay. And whatever cooperatives that have these genuine organic products, they can use this tag Bharat Organics ka, ठीक है, in accordance with National Program for Organic Production Standards. So basically NPOP, the National Program for Organic Production, NPOP, is a certification which has certain rules and regulations, and you know the parties, they first check that if these standards are met for the products to be called organic, okay. So उसके standards में check किया जाता है, ठीक है. Notified by EPIDA होता है, benchmark for the organic production in India, ठीक है. And NCOL procures only the NPOP certified. मैंने क्या बोला? That National Cooperative Organic Limited, it do marketing of what? Certified organic product, okay. So it does not do of any product it will claim to be organic. No, it should be NPOP certified, ठीक है, where the mandatory laboratory testing has to be done for pesticide residues and other whatever quality parameters that are there under NPOP. Majorly इसमें यही आपको ध्यान रखना था, ठीक है. Now let's do some question. Question number 1, as per the August news, which what is the India's total annual groundwater extraction, ठीक है. Extraction की बात हो रही है. Please keep in mind we are not talking about extractable or the recharge, but we are talking about the extracted extraction, how much is done. So that is your 247 BCM, and of that 86% is used for the irrigation purpose, ठीक है. As per the August news, what proportion of India's annual groundwater extraction is used for irrigation? Okay, so we have already talked about it is 87, okay, 87 and not 86, but nearby, okay. Next, as per the August, access and benefit sharing in India is associated with which of the following legislation? So it is related to your access and benefit sharing is your Biological Diversity Act of 2002, okay. Next up we have, as per the August 2026 news, which program serves as the benchmark for organic production followed by NCOL, ठीक है. तो benchmark means we have certain standard, that certification we need to have, and that is your National Program for Organic Production. Finally, as per the August news, the National Program for Organic Production followed by NCOL for organic production is identified by which organization? So that is by EPIDA, okay, that we know. Now this is a homework question for you all, ठीक है. Certified organic product under which brand? This brand is given by the government, so it's important to know, okay. That is all in this video. For more such videos, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also get the you can also get the PDF of this and every lecture that we provide here on YouTube on our Telegram channel. The link of it is given in the description box below. That is all in this video. We'll meet again in the next video. Until then,